Hello there, my very good friends. Andy here for WhatCulture. And look, Wrestlepalooza is like 4 days away from us at this stage. It's Wednesday, the show is on Saturday. We're doing this a little bit earlier than we usually would. But hey, look, this is a big show. This is the show that, according to recent reporting from Fightful Select, will be held up as some kind of WrestleMania surrogate almost in years when WrestleMania takes place overseas, as it will in 2027, of course. Now, this year's show came together very last minute. It's on the same day as AEW All Out, which we will have predictions for later in the week, by the way. So when it's so new and so hastily constructed, if you will, it's very difficult to see it on the same level as WrestleMania. But this is a big time card with some of the absolute biggest names in the company. There are at least 3 potential candidates for the main event here, which is why I'm not going to predict this in any particular order whatsoever. We're just going to roll through it and see where we land, if you will. But yes, enough waffling in the introduction. Let's get these predictions on the road. Cody Rhodes defending the undisputed WWE Championship against Drew McIntyre. I don't know if it's going to be the opener. Who the heck knows? It would be a suitable one because it's a high-stakes match and you want something that's going to hook people immediately when it comes to these shows. The opener is not a demotion or anything like that. It's an important slot on the card. So, hey, I've thrown the biggest babyface in the GD company here. I almost said country. Is he the biggest babyface in the entire United States? Let me know in the comments section below. But yeah, facing Drew. It's a bit of elevation for Drew in terms of like his positioning. He hasn't been quite as prominent in 2024, as he was in 2024. That isn't to say he hasn't been prominent. He clearly has through things like his feud with Damian Priest and stuff with Randy Orton and so forth. However, in 2024, he was absolutely massive through the program with CM Punk in particular. So this is a pretty cool spotlighting of him. I think he more than deserves it after being one of WWE's top performers over the past few years. Cody, meanwhile, is back on top as the champion, beating John Cena, babyface John Cena, a few short weeks ago. So, I mean, it's a pretty rudimentary outcome, this one, isn't it? Cody is going to retain the belt here. He's going to leave with it over his shoulder. My chair is squeaking already. Apologies for that. But I don't really see many scenarios in which Drew emerges with the belt. I would be pretty happy if that did happen, to be honest, because I like both of these guys. And I don't really care who wins, as long as we all have a jolly good time along the way. But I think Cody is going to hold it for a little bit longer. It was a shorter title reign for Cena than has become tradition in WWE, at least since Roman Reigns dominated proceedings for many years. That's why I think primarily Cody is probably going to hold this all the way through to WrestleMania. We'll see if that prediction comes to light. But right now, if there is a scenario for Drew, I'm not seeing it. Let me know in the comments section below. How would you do that? How would you do Drew winning the belt in this case? Do you think it makes sense? Do you think they can go somewhere interesting after that? Let me know in the comments section below. Really curious to hear your fantasy booking on this one in particular. Up next, we've got the Bronson Reed and Braun Breaker versus the reuniting Usos. Jimmy and Jay having their first proper built-up tag match together since Jay was a mystery tag team partner for Jimmy, or was it the other way around? My brain doesn't really work. In Scotland earlier this year. But they're back together. They've been teasing this whole heel Jey Uso angle. They've been teasing the idea that he's becoming more like Roman Reigns and kind of treating his relationships transactionally and being a bit abusive to his brother, being a nasty dude. Not too sure if that'll end up with a formal split and a formal heel run for Jey. It's an interesting thing to consider, considering how over he is as a babyface and how much people just love going yeet in the buildings every single time he makes his entrance. However, his attitude shift has been a big part of this story. And that is also one of the main reasons why I think the Usos are going to lose this due to some kind of disagreement or miscommunication between Jimmy and Jay. It's beneficial in a few ways because I do think that the vision Bronson and Braun, they could do with picking up a few wins. They could do with winning a few of these big matches because they've been in a few losing spotlights as of late. I think it would be really super good if they could go over one of the most decorated and tenured tag teams in the entire company. So a heel win here for me. I think it's the best move all round. If you want to further that Jay storyline, there's a very natural way to do that. And also if you want to push the Brawns as a bigger deal, this is a great opponent for them to beat. I've said it before, but I'll say it again. If it was up to me, I would push Braun and Braun like the bloomin' Road Warriors. I would have them beating people's asses all around the country with very little resistance. I would build them up as the most fearsome tag team in the company with the belts, by the way, until you have a babyface tandem primed and ready to dethrone them. That title change would then feel like the biggest thing in the division in a long, long time. Lucha Brothers reuniting would be cool for that spot, but we're not there yet. Either way, I think Braun and Braun win this. I think it's due to Jay being a little rascal and doing something dastardly, and I don't think Mr. James Uso is going to be too happy about that. We're spreading the big matches out, at least on this predictions video, because this is one of the main draws for a lot of people, I think, on this show. The in-ring return after many, many years of AJ Lee teaming with CM Punk to face Seth Rollins and Becky Lynch. Mixed tag action. AJ's return, implied return. You knew she was going to come back. It wasn't announced, but you kind of knew. On SmackDown a couple of weeks, drew a huge rating for that show. It just went through the roof. They were up like 82% in the key demo. That's insane, folks. And now, we've seen her on Raw a couple of times. She was going to shank somebody on Raw this week. I don't know. It's like we're watching an episode of Oz over here or something like that. And this match has been built to pretty well. Pretty good, in the words of Larry David, minus the trademark delivery. But yes, one of the biggest matches on the show, easily. It's a natural pairing. Seth and Becky have been back together since, what PLE was it? Clash in Paris or SummerSlam? My brain doesn't work, like I've said already. And it's a natural person for CM Punk to bring in. It's his wife, of course. There's a lot of anticipation surrounding this. We haven't seen AJ work in ages. We've seen those little training videos of her doing head scissors and stuff on Punk in a wrestling ring. She looks really sharp. The reports are really positive of the work she's done elsewhere. And when she's had to train, she's come off really well. I think she's come off well on the microphone too. She's fit this product like a glove. And she's here to stay, apparently, and be a mainstay of the division. Now, I don't think you go for the bummer result here. I don't think you go for a heel victory. I think that they're going to put Punk and AJ over, and that is my prediction here. Feels like the kind of feel-good result you want on your PLEs. The caveat here could be potentially building to a rematch later down the line. We know Paul Levesque loves a rematch in his booking. But you can pivot off in a great many directions from here anyway. You can go and do the singles matches if you want. AJ versus Becky and Punk versus Seth again. You can do whatever the heck you want. You could even end it here if you really wanted to. Either way, I don't think the result is the main draw of this match. It is just seeing AJ work again. That will pull a lot of people in, I am sure. And I'm really curious to see how she does. I'm sure she will do great. She's done great so far. So let's just have a jolly good time. Why not? Sure, yes. Following on from that, we're going to go with the match for the vacant women's title. Obviously, this was vacated when Naomi announced her pregnancy in August. Congratulations once again to her and Jimmy Uso on starting a family. Great news. On a creative level, that leaves a spot to fill. Vacant, installed as champion. Stephanie Vaquer had the opportunity. I just said opportunity. That word in a wrestling context is truly cursed. But yeah, Stephanie won her title shot by winning the Evolution Battle Royal. That seems like a distant memory at the moment, even though it was only 2 months ago. So she was inserted in the match for that reason, and Io Sky is like the perfect opponent. She's a former champion. She's very decorated. She's also the most consistent wrestler, in my opinion, in the entire company. So look, from a pure in-ring standpoint, this is the match of the night. I think this is going to absolutely sizzle. I think it will be tremendous from two of the absolute best in the business, and I'm really looking forward to seeing the magic that they craft, especially if they're given like 20-25 minutes. I think this could be a really special match for WWE. The build has been on and off. Stephanie's been off TV quite a bit, which has been Weird. She's clarified that she isn't injured or anything like that. She just wrestled for NXT, of course, last night as I'm recording this. And yeah, it's been a curious choice to not have too much going on between the two of them in the lead up to the match. However, the blessing to this curse is that the match will rock, as I explained earlier. Now, in terms of winner, I think that Stephanie Vaquer's overness on the main roster was immediately apparent from the moment she showed up after WrestleMania. I think that WWE were probably a little bit taken aback, actually, by how over she was when she came out to face Io Sky. And I think that they've ridden that wave. Now, it would be a very quick ascension for her winning the belt so soon after joining the main roster, but she had that in NXT as well, very quickly becoming NXT Women's Champion before moving up to Raw. And I don't think that will scare WWE. In fact, that's why Stephanie Vaquer is my prediction here. This is a great opportunity, I've said it again, to build a new star by beating an established name who guarantees a good match at the very least every single time. Io is tremendous, she is an MVP, and she is the perfect person to put Stephanie over as her next star-making step. I think that Vaquer is going to be a big figurehead in this division for years, decades even. Io is as well, but Stephanie's the newer name, and I think that this could send her stratospheric. So it's the match I'm most looking forward to on the show from a pure in-ring standpoint. I think it's going to be absolutely magical, and I think that Stephanie Vaquer is going to leave with the vacant gold. And we're going to close the night and indeed the video with Brock Lesnar versus John Cena, or what was it? John Cena versus Brock Lesnar, according to the ESPN announcer the other day. God bless. Just shows that wrestling is still more of a bubble than you think it is. Although, how do you not know John Cena? He's an actor and stuff. He's pretty famous. Anyway, this is, in terms of name value, the biggest match on the card. Obviously, it's the 17-time world champion against the guy, Brock Lesnar, so often promoted as the alpha monster on WWE television. He's back for the first time in years, 2 years. Shunted through the door at SummerSlam. They've kind of been building this since Sami Zayn got an F5 the other week. It's poor Sami. Real shame what happened to him there. But yeah, the two biggest names on the card. It's John Cena's retirement tour. He's going to be out of here in 4 months. He's got very limited dates left with the company. This is one of the matches that we're going with. So, from in-ring and a story standpoint, they've clashed many times in their careers. So, thinking purely in those terms, it does make sense as a match that Cena would have on his way out the door. Triple H has suggested that Cena wanted him as an opponent. Brock, that is. The Cena requested this. Cena has disputed that. Who the heck knows came up with this thing? It's happening on the show. Two of the biggest names in the absolute business over the past 20, 30 years or so. It's probably the main event for this thing. Unless Brock just wants to get home early like he did at WrestleMania 35. But at this stage, it's often tricky picking against Brock Lesnar because he is so dominant and that is his style. But I'm going to do it. I'm going to say that Cena wins here. Primarily because I think his final match might mean a bit more if he overcomes some big hurdles on the way to doing that. What I would like to see WWE do is have Cena lose his last match to somebody who'll really benefit from it. And I think that person will benefit more from his last match than if Cena wins a few on the way, including slaying the beast here, than if he just lost. That being said, if he did lose, I mean, there's a million ways you could spin it. He just lost to Cody, for goodness sake. So, it's no great shame. It's Brock Lesnar. He's portrayed as one of the most dominant forces in WWE history. But I'm going with John Cena, celebrating as this show comes off the air and we head into the next chapter of his retirement tour. I think this is probably the most contentious match on the show. I think that you can make a good case for either. So that's exactly what I want you guys to do right now. Head on down to that comment section below. Let me know your winners and losers from Wrestlepalooza. The first of these shows is going to be on a little bit after All Out, but it's on the same day. And it is a show that apparently WWE hopes can be spoken about as something of a WrestleMania substitute in years when Mania is taking place abroad. So expect big things on this show. They're not going to hold anything back. They are definitely going to want to try and steal the buzz from AEW. And look, they've put most of their biggest names on the show, so they're already off to a start in that way. We'll see what comes of it this weekend. Thank you for joining me. Enjoy the show. We'll be back with more predictions for AEW either tomorrow or the day after. And I'll see you soon. Goodbye.